honestly, like women's sports, it's barely an institution. It's only been around for a few decades. Like if our sources of our outlets for entertainment, for competition, for like I don't know whatever to however to define them. But if they're not able to accommodate trans people, then they're not worthy of existing. Like I'm it's just like we're talking about movie theaters. What are we talking about here? I mean, I love sports as much as anyone, but if they cannot accommodate including trans people, I don't give a shit about them being robust. It's just, you know, be inclusive or don't be. That's it. Or don't exist.
Okay,
Aren't you
not every
glad, Blair, that we have these white, straight allies to just take to stand up for trans rights like this? Like,
Right, right. This is what we were talking about throughout this episode, which is like the best thing that these white lived out bitches could do for us is just shut up because you're arguing for things that don't even make sense for us. So the idea that because I am trans, that every lane is for me and I should be included in any and every area of life is simply illogical. It simply doesn't make sense. And it's incongruent with how to actually properly integrate trans people into things. The conversation should not be trans people should be included in sports at all costs. The argument should be trans people should be included in sports where it's appropriate. Examples of where that's appropriate are going to be trans leagues. If there's so many trans athletes out there, why the aren't there trans leagues at this point? I actually think that'd be kind of cool to watch. I would love to watch a bunch of trannies like tackle each other and do football and shit. Like I think that'd be lit, and I think a lot of people would watch that just for the like entertainment value of it, right? Um, Again, this like nuanceless take that under any and all circumstances, you know, the inclusion is more important than the fairness, uh, is is like a child's view of the world.
it's
It's like a
also
fuck. This
so
is
inconsistent with liberal feminism because for years,
yeah.
like, look, I'm a man. I don't have a whole lot riding in this fight, but I'll just say this. For years, liberals argue we need separate women's sports. Right? We need this. It's part of equality of opportunity. College sports, the whole point of Title IX was to force schools to have both gender sports. Now they're like, actually, let's just nuke the idea of sex segregated sports because sometimes trans people want to play in women's sports. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that is not helping. One, that's not fair to women, right? There are just advantages that don't go away, especially if you went through puberty with your biological male puberty. And the other part is that's not actually helpful for trans people because that's a very radical concept that you're associating with trans acceptance. Whereas if your concept is, yeah, we should accept trans people and be chill, and but of course we'll have fair rules in sports where it would be unfair, and we'll protect women's sports. People will accept that. If you tell them that in order to support trans people, you have to accept just getting rid of sex distinctions in sports, a whole lot of people are going to have an issue with that, and that's understandable.
Right, and life isn't a Disney movie, you know? Life isn't like, oh my God, the poor trans person like fighting to be included in a sports league, and at the end, it's like they take the goal, and it's like, it's life is not a Disney movie. Life, we have to figure out a way to balance the rights of all groups at the same time, and none of those rights can can like stack on top of the other group's rights in the sense of like I am not religious, I am not a Christian, I don't believe the government should be ran, you know, through a like religious perspective necessarily. I mean, people say like, oh, like making murder illegal is a religious perspective. It's like it's a human perspective. uh so I don't want that imposed on me, and I don't want to impose anything on women. I don't want to impose anything on children. Like that helps no one and hurts everyone. And you know, this is something that is incongruent with like my perspective on transitioning that I had when I started transitioning. There wasn't a part of me when I began my medical transition that believed that that would make me biologically female, that that would make like the playing fields, not in a sports way, but just in a life way, exactly the same as women. The idea that every lane that is for women has to include me is ridiculous because not every lane that is for me includes women. I've walked through many doors in my life and had many amazing experiences and met many amazing people that I would not have met if I was born biologically female, right? I think of like the career I've had over the past 7 years. Do you think if I was born biologically female, I would have had that career? No. So not every lane is for you. You have to respect that. And it also, I hate to rant, but you said earlier that conflating real grievances with frivolous ones makes people less likely to take the serious ones serious. This is what I think of when I think of like bathrooms. So people who like freak out over the bathroom stuff when there's no data or statistical reality to feel that strongly either way about it, and there isn't rapes occurring in bathrooms, but the people act like they are, that makes people less likely to take you seriously when you talk about locker rooms. Because I think locker rooms are very different than bathrooms. The bathroom at Walmart is not the same thing as Leah Thomas walking around with a penis showing with young women, right? This is a good example of that. It's like, where there are legitimate grievances for trans people, when you start talking about how we're not allowed to go in sports and like up women physically in sporting leagues, who the gonna take the real shit you're saying serious? I hate to swear so much. I feel so bad if you're gonna have to bleep this out, but it pisses me off because women like her get up and go on this righteous like crusade for us, and they only make it worse. They only make it worse.
Yeah, they do. And also, I'll just be honest, if you really want to do this, you just have one soccer team for the United States. None of the female players would make it if you just abolished sex segregate. I'm just being
Yeah.
honest. I mean, the women's World Cup team, which is amazing for the women, they played against a U15 boys team and lost a few years ago, right? There's just differences. And when you're so
Right.
woke, you can't acknowledge reality. You can't follow the science. Your brain falls out and you end up with these kind of takes that aren't helpful to anybody. But